science lesson today, and as you can be able to see on the board, I've written plants, and in our today's lesson, these plants we are going to look into interdependence between plants. Before I explain what interdependence means, I would like to show you some few plants here. Maybe you have come across some, others you may not have come across with. These are plants. You can be able to see it has roots. It's a fresh one. It has roots. Look at the type of roots we have here. So what we call fibrous types of roots. Then we have one here. We have one certain type of root here. You will tell me its name. It has its own specific name. This is a maize plant. You can be able to see it's a maize plant. So that's one plant. We have another plant here. You can be able to see. This one has a taproot type of a root. You can be able to see that this is a long one, very strong one. Then on the sides we have what we call the root hairs. So the work of the root hairs is to go for water, to collect water from the underground for this particular plant. So the main root is a taproot. You can be able to see how it is shaped. It's different from this one. I want you to compare the roots. Look at the roots. They are different. So this one is a V-shaped one type of a root. These ones are longer, so they are fibrous. So this is called cowpeas, whatever you call kunde in your own Swahili language. So this is kunde. Then I have also another plant here. This is a weed. I've just picked a certain type of a plant here. So these are generally what we are talking about today, plants. So when it comes to interdependence, we want to see how plants depend on one another. And we are going to see that interdependence is dependency of one plant, of one person to another, or one living thing upon another. So interdependence means dependency of one person to another, or one living thing upon another. Just like where you are at home, you entirely depend on your parent for everything. So the interdependence between you and your parents is that you get food from the parents, and so like clothes, and so forth and so on. So that dependency, that the process of depending on one person or a living thing depending on another, we call it interdependence. You benefit from that particular person, and also he or she benefits from you. So in today's lesson, we are going to see how plants depend on one another. How plants are going to benefit from one another. As these plants depend on one plant, then that other plant will also depend on this particular plant. And we say that plants depend on one another for three things. Plants depend on one another for the following. So the following are the things that plants depend on one another. Number one, plants depend on one another for support. Plants depend on one another for habitat. And lastly, plants depend on one another for shade. So these will be our main points that we are going to discuss in this particular lesson. We are going to discuss how plants depend on one another for support. So we begin with the support. Now, if we talk about support, ideally we mean that this one particular plant which is depending on the other for support, it means it's not strong, it's weak. And so it needs the other plant to support it so that it can be able to grow. So when you talk about support, it means entirely depending for strength from the other plant. So I want to give you examples of plants that depend on one another for for support. And I'll give you an example of a passion fruit. The passion plant. Let's talk about the tomato. A garden pea. I'm giving you these examples so that I can show you how they depend on one another. Now you realize that there are some plants which have very weak stems. Like for example, take the passion fruit. We realize that our passion fruit grows on another plant like this. For it to be able to rise and acquire things like sunlight and enough air, they need to climb on other plants. So these plants that depend on others for support, they are called climbers. They twine on one plant and they move upwards so that they can get enough sunlight and enough air. We know sunlight is the one that makes the comprises of the things that make the plant food. So for plants to be able to make food, they need sunlight. So they must climb up there to be able to get sunlight. So I've just given an example of a garden passion fruit. So because of the stem, look at the stem, so weak. So for it to be able to grow upwards, it needs to climb on another plant which has a strong stem. So this is strong stem and a weak stem. So it grows and intertwines on another plant which has a strong stem, so that it can be able to climb and be able to grow. So in its entire life, it will be able to, it will depend on this particular plant for it to be able to go up. So there are certain features that it has that helps it be able to climb the plant. Number one, there are things we call tentries. Tentries. What are tentries, Lana? We say tentries emanate from plant leaves. So these are special types of leaves. So underline the word emanates because this is a question in the exam. Tentries are specialized type of leaves. So they emanate from leaves. You might have seen this, Lana. That sometimes you find this is a leaf, but just it's something like this. Then it attaches itself on a plant. This is what we call a tendril. So it emanates from a leaf. This is a leaf, and you'll be able to see that leaf. So it's a specialized part of a leaf. It's one particular word that we use that we say it's a modified. Talk about modified. It's a modified leaf. So that it can be able to bring this thing that looking like a spring, and then it will attach on a plant or a stem of a plant or even a branch which is stronger. And so the plant will be able to grow upwards. So that's what we call a tendril. So in many occasions in an exam you'll be asked, what is a tendril? So a tendril is a modified leaf. Or they'll just say it emanates. Emanates to mean it comes from. It emanates from a leaf. So we're talking about tentries. So that's one feature they use to be able to attach or to be able to be supported by other big plants. The other one feature that they use is a hook. The use of a hook. Some plants have hooks. So those hooks, they hook on a plant and they can be able to cling on that particular plant and be able to be supported. So those are the two features that are found in those what we call the climbing plants that require support for them to be able to grow. So generally you can say that plants depend on one another for support, and I've explained how they depend on one another for support. I've said passion plant, the garden pea. There's another plant called the man plant, money plant. Money plant is also another plant that you see as some tendrils and some modified type of root leaves that can be able to climb on others. So we call it twining. The stems, we say the stems twine twine on another stem. That habit of going like this, call it twining. So they twine on another plant and be able to grow upwards. So that's all about the support. Let's move again and go and discuss about shade support. Then let's go to shade. Plants depend on one another for shade. And this one I will not take a lot of time there. I will just draw. I'm not a good artist, but I saw Mwalimu doing something like this. That is a plant. You find some small plants growing under this particular plant. Why are they growing under that particular big plant? To get shade. I want you to realize that this is not shelter, this is shade. Ideally, they want to get shade. And why are they getting shade? Because of the conditions, the climatic conditions, the weather conditions. When these plants are exposed to a lot of light, exposed to sunlight, talk about heat, they die. Like for example, talk about the fan. Fans are so weak that when they are exposed to sunlight, direct sunlight, they just die. They wilt and dry up at the same time. So we are saying these plants, they grow under bigger trees so that they can get shade to prevent them from dying, because direct sunlight will harm them because they are not that strong to be able to withstand such climatic conditions. So such are the plants that depend on other plants for shade. So without those big plants, they will not be able to grow. They will not be able to grow. Direct sunlight and strong winds will destroy them, and hence they cannot withstand the conditions. So I've given just examples of fans that they grow under big trees, so that they can be able to get the shade. Number 3, and which has a lot of discussion, is habitat. I want you to learn to be very careful with this one. Be very keen when I'm explaining this. When we talk about habitat, what is an habitat? It's a house of a living thing. The house where this particular animal is going to. Natural home. Talk about natural home. Natural home of a living thing. I know at this time you are at home, so that's your natural place where you live. So these plants, there are some plants which depend on others for home. They want to be there. Now, this is very, very important that you look into this. We have what we call parasitic plants in this category, and we have saprophytic plants in terms of habitat. I want you to understand that clearly, because these two are different, but all of them are depending on another plant for habitat. Both of them, there's a parasitic and saprophytic plants. I will begin with the parasitic plant, and later I'll send you a photo of the same in your groups, and you'll be able to see what we're talking about. What is a parasite? We begin from there, Lana. And a parasite is an organism that depends on another one fully for survival. We said that the other day. An organism that depends on another fully for its survival. So without that other animal, then this parasite will not live. And so it said the one that is dependent on is the host, and then this is called the parasite. Now, in the case of plants, we don't have a host and a parasite. We only what we have is a parasitic plant. Now, what is a parasitic plant? I want you to understand this when I'm going to draw this. This is a plant known as a mugumo tree. The mugumo tree. Then you find that on top here, as it grows, another plant comes and grows on it like that. And the other plant maybe is mangrove. Something like that. So this plant is living, and this other plant is also living. I want you to understand that a parasite cannot depend on a dead one. A parasite can only depend on another living plant. So a parasitic plant depends on another living plant for its survival. So the plant that grows, the one that comes from the ground initially, is living. Then another plant grows on that particular plant on top, and you find that this is one plant, yes, but you look at them, they are two different plants. There's one that is coming from the ground, and another one that grew on top of that particular plant. So the one that grew on top of that particular plant is known as a parasitic plant. It's a parasite. It's depending on that plant for survival. So once you cut this plant from this side, the other one dies, because it depends on this, which is down here. So if you cut the down one, the parasitic plant will automatically die, because it will lack some plant provide for it food and other nutrients that they require. So I want you to understand that, Lana. So we call them parasitic plant. So the next is the opposite of that, a saprophyte. Saprophytic plant. And what is a saprophyte? These are plants living plants that depend on dead, learn the word dead decaying matter. These ones, on the contrary, they don't grow on living plants, they grow on dead plants. Themselves are living, but they grow on a dead plant. I want to give you an example of a baobab tree. Once a baobab tree falls down, once it's dead and it starts decaying, you will see some mushrooms growing there. Mushrooms will start emanating from that particular plant. This is a baobab tree which has fallen down. It starts decaying or rotting. So in the process of decomposing, you will find that some mushrooms start growing there. These mushrooms are living, and so we call them the saprophytes. These are the saprophytes. The mushrooms are the saprophytes, but they are depending on this baobab which is dying here. So this one is a dead decaying matter. The dead decaying matter. So in this case, our saprophytes will be the mushrooms, the toadstools. You have learned about toadstools, which grow on a tree. You find them on a tree, growing there. They themselves are alive, but you find them growing on a dead plant. So we can have examples as toadstools, molds, and puffballs. Generally call them fungi. So examples of saprophytic plants are toadstools, mushrooms. We have puffballs, and then molds. All these in one name, they are known as fungi. So all fungi are saprophytic. You have seen puffballs. Puffballs looks like balls. They are white in color, all brownish in color. You will find them in a plant. A dry plant, then they are here like this. You find them like this. Those are what you call puffballs. Then you find molds. Molds, you can even see them on bread. Bread is not living. Bread is dead. So you'll find molds growing on bread. The bread is dead but not decaying at that point. But they start growing there once the bread starts decaying, because the bread is not alive. So that's the difference between saprophytic and parasitic plants. Parasitic plants are living, both the host and the parasitic plant. But saprophytic plants, the saprophytes are living, but they are depending on dead decaying matter. And I've given you examples of toadstools. We have mushrooms, puffballs, and molds. So that's how plants depend on one another, Lana. They depend on one another for three things: support, shade, and habitat. So these are what we call areas in which plants depend on one another. So up to that moment, Lana, I want to stop there and give you room to continue revising and revise hard on that particular area you have covered. Once we come tomorrow, we will be able to see how plants depend on animals and we will see also animals depending on plants. I want to give you a good example. When a bee is depending on a plant for nectar, at the same time the plant is also benefiting, that the pollen grains will be transferred from one plant to another, and so you will see fertilization taking place. So the plant needs that bee, and the bee also needs that plant. So until next time, learner, let's meet tomorrow for another interesting lesson on the dependence between plants and animals. Goodbye and God bless you.